team comes out on top, and of course, as usual in the Rift, quite misty. I can pull that one out for the first night. I think that's okay. Oh, we got some level 1 action already.
Just a little bit of poke.
That's huge for Taker. He pockets what, 6 gold?
He's rich.
He's rich.
Look at all those first strikes.
Wow.
3 of them in a row, and they're all boots abusers as well.
Yeah, I mean the economy does look pretty bad right now, so it's good to save up as much money as you can. That is not financial advice, but you should.
Thanks, Mel. Okay, so I mean we've talked about this bot matchup to death, so we probably don't need to talk about it.
Let's pretend it's not there because the rest of the map is definitely a lot more interesting.
Yeah, the Victor versus Lee thing is pretty interesting because I don't think Victor has the damage to actually get through Lee's sustain early, but at the same time, Lee doesn't really have the wave clear until he gets a few points, in E to actually contest the wave. So it's kind of an interesting matchup. I don't think much will actually happen around mid. But obviously, Dewish team, they have a much better 2v2. I feel like Lee Sin, heavily outperforms Victor in any kind of early skirmish. Actually, interesting that Hong 2 did elect to go for the first strike over the Airy. Airy would give you more control of lane, but probably deciding that just the first strike scaling and maybe the fact that you can't actually poke out the Lee Sin probably makes it a better choice just to scale.
We've also talked about this top lane matchup quite a lot as well, unfortunately. Na versus Cassante. We've seen it go both ways. So I would say, the equilibrium is about in the middle. With Cassante nerfed, though, maybe it is a bit more Na leading. It does feel like he does have the tools to be able to bully the Cassante, but I guess it's just a matter of whether or not that can actually convert into anything. But Taco looking for the 3-camp clear into bot side. I think he posted.
He showed.
Yeah, I wonder if DWT saw that. Now they do drop the ward in the river, being aware that Taco can be in the area, so good foresight from them. And yeah, Xiao2 actually sustaining a decent amount. He's got the Doran's shield, and I'm sure he's got second wind as well. I didn't quite catch in the runes, but
pretty sure he does.
Yeah, that definitely is very versatile combo. Taco is still around. Pepero and Inhale gonna look. Xiao2's on the back end as well. WSL here too. Hits the Lily. He's gonna have to flash here. Does pop it. Xiao2 flashing in. Oh, it actually is gonna be first blood picked up by WSL. Really good play from them. They drop the ward early in the river to make sure they can swat him out, and when he does show, they collapse on him like it's nothing. Now time is very low as well. Xiao2 connects the Q, finds it, and he's going to make it out of this alive. Does proc the Triumph as well, and TP expended from Hong 2 as well. Way too late from him. He does get his wave in, but ultimately that's still huge for Dewish team.
Yeah, that was a disaster actually across the board there. So Hellpigs, Taco really did not respect the fact that his mid doesn't have priority. That's just kind of the reality of Xiao2 trading his HP for some of that mid priority. And then Hong 2 also TPing in way too late. If you're going to TP at all, it needs to be early. But ideally, you don't TP and just none of this happens. So Dewish team, I've really liked how they start this game.
Yeah, definitely. Like from Hong 2, it's almost like he put himself in the worst situation, right? Because it's him wanting the best of both worlds, where he wants to get his wave in, but also help his bot lane. But you really can't have it both ways. He does get his wave in, so that is good at least. But yeah, TP comes in way too late. That's now down for the next 6 minutes. Or I guess a bit less if he has Cosmic, but let's not worry about the numbers. But Dewish team now 1k gold ahead. At this stage in the early game is pretty good for them.
Yeah, those are numbers we should be worrying about, especially bot lane, because I think when we've seen Lucian Nami, it's been very polarizing, right? Like when it gets ahead, it goes crazy. But at the same time, if you have some kind of critical missteps in the early game and fall behind the Zeri Lulu, suddenly it becomes very, very hard for you to actually find impact.
Yeah, hits different. Doesn't quite hit the same as Lucian Nami from ahead. So we have to see if the bot lane of HPS can tide this one over. Get it?
Yeah, okay. No, I like it.
Speaking of tide, the Ocean Drake has spawned as well. They're really rolling in.
Yeah, okay. So Dragon spawning, and it looks like WSL. Ooh, he will actually not start it. I thought he was going to start there given he had mid and bot pro, but probably just feels like he has better things to do. Lilia, definitely a tempo jungler, can just play to kind of put camps on cooldown, stay ahead of everyone else in terms of levels.
Grabbing the Lucidity boots on Lilia is definitely a good boost for early game clearing speed, so I'm going to opt for that instead. I think it's I'll allow it.
You'll allow it?
I'll allow it. I'm okay with that.
Yes, I think what's mainly important for Dewish team is, not only have bot lane gotten ahead, but it's also going to stop any dragons from going the way of Helpix. And I think that's potentially like one weakness of the Helpix comp because, you know, while you have this strength from Lucian Nami in the bot lane, the problem is that Victor is just going to be such a kind of like hole in your map from like not being able to get priority over the Lee Sin for so long that it's difficult for Lucian Nami, even when ahead, to actually maintain control of this bot lane. And now that they've fallen behind, there's virtually no chance of that ever happening. Top lane, it's been relatively quiet. Perhaps a bit more Nav favored than before, as you were saying. It's kind of hard to tell so early in the game. They're both sitting still on the door in shields. Maybe a gentleman's agreement to not base.
Let's see who can stay in lane the longest. Oh, pops
Oh,
Gnarl,
okay.
gets the wave.
He's out of
Okay, he is going to be basing first, so big. Yeah, he's gonna lose in that regard. But Dewish team definitely, you know, reaping the rewards of the early game success, and you can see the bot lane already starting to bully the Lucian Nami, which again is not where you want your Lucian Nami to be. You know, they want to be up close and personal, and they definitely are far from that, being stuck under the tower.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever really going to regain control either, because Xiaotu, you know, permanent priority over mid. WSL, you know, will be on the map much quicker than Taco here, so it's going to be really tough for Helpix to get back into this early game. They probably have to play for late, but Dewish team's comp scales so well. The camp's going over here. This is the real issue of having no mid and no bot priority, is that you're really going to suffer on that one side of the map. And I think, you know, Dewish team, they can kind of get everything they want here. If they want to do drag, there really is no contest. And Xiaotu, he's trading a lot of his health for priority, knowing that, you know, as you get lower HP with the Door and Shields that can win, you can just stay in lane. This might be a bit much from WSL. Yeah, he's going to back off. Might look to instead play for this Herald coming up in 25 seconds.
Yeah, does only pick up the enemy Raptor camps off of Taco, but you know, those one camp sort of advantages definitely do add up over the course of the game, and you have to assume that DWT, they're going to be able to keep pressing this advantage as long as Xiaotu is able to sustain mid prior. So if they can sort of rinse and repeat that, it'll be good looks for them. But DWT, they're going to be rotating Pepper and Inhao over to the top side, so giving Tide and IC8 a bit of breathing room. And from the side of Helpix, you would expect them to definitely give this one over as soon as they spot Pepper and Inhao around.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll actually play for a lane swap here, because I feel like losing so much farm bot might not be worth it. Yeah, Cassandre is recalling. I'm thinking Lacuna might just base and walk bot, and they have an early lane swap here. It looks like that is... Ooh, or maybe they actually commit for the just the 4-0.
Wow.
Okay, no. This is going to be lane swap. Okay, so Cassandre's walking back bot. He will be able to sustain kind of any dives or anything on this side of the map. But Taco based obviously doesn't actually have to worry about it, but I don't think he saw that. Don't think they had any vision of that. But I actually like it.
Yeah.
You know, while unfortunately a little bit of gold goes over to Tide's Lucian, you know, Pepper Zeri can get so much gold here on this top tower, and they could honestly probably play just to kill the whole top tower, which is, you know, it's going to speed up the game a lot. And they've certainly got their comp to force the advantage, right? Like, their top side is really aggressive, and then any gold that Pepper benefits from, you know, is going to certainly make it work. Now, the Dragon going over is interesting because, you know, the Dragon is a late game win condition. It feels like Helpix right now, they don't really have a better trade. It's very hard to dive the Cassandre. Can't really kill the Lee Sin mid, so Helpix are just kind of losing out across the board at the moment.
Yeah, I really like this early game macro from Dewish team. You know, they bring the Zeri Lulu up, and instead of making them, you know, walk all the way across the map back to bot lane, they take advantage of the fact that they are already in the top side. You know, make them sit on the top wave, pick up a few plates. Send the Cassandre bot lane as well, who they know can't be dove, even by 3 members of Helpix, realistically. So really just, honestly, flawless macro play in their last few minutes.
Yeah, now it's interesting that they actually swap back bot lane. I would have thought that they would just keep going and herald the top tower, but maybe they want to try extend this laning phase a little bit more. You know, because they do have advantage in the 2v2 right now. They don't really need to herald immediately. You know, might play for something greedier instead. Maybe get some kills and then get the herald. And gold difference, I mean, it's starting to build up, and I think Dewish team, you know, if you see Zeri Lulu ahead in gold, that normally feels pretty good.
Definitely. They haven't quite picked up the Mythic yet, and they actually are a little bit behind in XP. At least Pepper is a little bit behind Tide because he got a little bit of solo time with IC8 basing to try and protect the top lane. So it's a bit of bit of a trade-off. Tide is level up, but DWT, both bot laners are level 6. So if a skirmish does break out on the bot side, you have to feel like they will be advantaged. And that just might happen with Xiao2 getting prior here and moving down with WSL into Hellpigs' bot side jungle.
Yeah, Dewish team mid jungle working really, really well together. I've continually used this mid jungle prior in order to build advantages over Hellpigs. And actually, credit to Taco has managed to mostly keep up in CS, actually slightly ahead in CS.
Yeah. Well, Xiao2 trading pretty heavily, does hit the Q. Ultimate dropped from Hongtu. Xiao2 dropping very low here. As you said, he does have the Durance Shield and second wind, but probably not going to be enough to keep him safe in lane, so he's going to take a base.
He does have the TP as well. I wonder if he'll go for even more magic resist, because there is that double AP mid jungle. Okay, actually just going to sit on the Merc Treads, and TP's back to lane. I think they see Taco in the area here, so Dewish team, they know to be a little bit safer. They do have to find a winner to use this Herald though, because it's going soon. And the fact they haven't used it yet does make me question why it wasn't used top. There's potentially something you could do bot, but Tide having the cleanse on the Lucian. Wow, that's annoying.
You get some second-hand annoyance from that.
Okay, so he was spotted, WSL here, by the lingering vision from the creeps. And he's actually just going to drop the Herald in front of them. This tower won't quite go down, but again, more gold going over Dewish team, which is always nice. And if there's a fight around here, I think it's much better for Dewish team. They have that mid priority.
Yeah, Tide has already expended the culling as well to try and reduce the size of that wave. And Dewish team, they're going to turn their sights back to stabilizing the bot lane. And yeah, to bring it back to the whole Rift Herald play, I feel like if they're going to use Rift Herald like that, you might as well just keep the Zeri Lulu top in the first place and try and take down that whole tower. So, not a big fan of that sort of sequence from Dewish team, but it's not the worst, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Hellpigs, they're hitting a pretty important timing here. Dragon is in 1 minute and 50 seconds, and also Mythics have been completed on Hongtu's Victor as well as Tide's Lucian, which are very, very important for this first fight. And if there's a window for Lucian Nami to outperform the Zeri, this is probably it. You know, despite Zeri being ahead in gold, I think Lucian, when he hits the Gale Force, it's a different champion with Nami, right? It's very, very strong. On the other hand, though, the Dewish team, they are most likely going to have their items as well. Actually, Xiao2 won't have an opportunity to base, I don't think. Doesn't have the TP, so they might actually play with the Mythic deficit. There's definitely a chance for Hellpigs to win this fight despite being down in gold.
Yeah, it does feel like Xiao2 does need that gold drinker completed. It isn't as valuable as, you know, the Leandries and the Gale Force on Tide and Hongtu, but it definitely is still a big factor in making sure that he's able to survive that early engage of the team fight and actually, you know, output a bit more damage than he would without it. So I'm hoping that he is able to hit that, but I think you're right. He's not going to be able to base, but does land the kick onto Hongtu. Going to get followed up by Inhao as well. WSL drops asleep as well, drops very low, does get picked up by WSL once again. 3 kills to 0 for Dewish team now, and Dragon up in 30 seconds. You have to assume that's going the way of Dewish team, so good pick from them.
Yeah, that was really, really nice. That was much better kicks than we saw from Dewish team last time. But yeah, they get the kill. I think it's pretty key. Oh, actually, fighting
Tide looking on Pepro. He does have the Gale Force available. Going to drop the lightning crash from the side of Pepro. Has a lot of shielding available though. Flashes past the Tidal Wave. Now Tide is the one on the receiving him. Dropped very low. No more Gale Force available. That one bolt of lightning does hit Tide, but going to flash his way to safety on that one. But really good turnaround from Dewish team once again. And it looks like they might actually not be able to pick up this Dragon as early as they would have liked. But let's take a look back at that mid lane play.
Yeah, so Hongtu, he kind of walked the greedy way, didn't have any vision, and kind of just got collapsed. And I think also maybe greeted the flash at the very start. Probably could have flashed a little earlier. But then after that, just smart play from Dewish team. Takes him out, and also Taco forced a flash, which is big. And actually, that being said, in the last minute, Hellpigs lost 4 of their flashes on their entire bot side. So definitely don't want to contest this Dragon. And Dewish team, you know, picking up this drag pretty much guarantees that there's not going to be a drag win condition, at least not until very late in the game. And you have to think that, you know, despite Hellpigs having the Victor, if it's a Victor from behind and the enemy team has Lilia, Zeri, Lulu, it can be quite difficult to actually scale into this game.
Yeah, especially with Inhao picking up the Shirelias as well. It definitely becomes a lot scarier for Hongtu to play the game. Just because of the sort of sheer gap closing ability that Dewish team have, where they can pretty much just run at him. as well as the fact that he doesn't have flash up. He has to be feeling pretty scared for the next few minutes until it comes back up.
And I think we'll probably... There is a Herald up, so we might see some kind of play for it. And I feel like Hellpigs... I don't know, I feel like you kind of do have to do something. Because even though you have the Victor scaling, I think your Lucian Nami are just, you know, rapidly becoming kind of useless, right? If you don't feel strong enough to dash forward, it's going to be very difficult to play later on in the game. So I'd potentially like to see them contest this while you still can. Top lane's actually built up a pretty big advantage.
Ooh, people are getting traded on. Signature Lucian Nami trades that we've seen. But we are late enough in the game now that it's not as shocking as that initial level 3 spike. So yeah, Culling dropped as well. Going to be mostly shielded up by Inhao. But it is going to give Hellpigs a little bit more control in mid now. But wait, Lakanai, he hasn't been spotted by that ward, so he's on the flank. He's got a huge angle here, actually. Tide has no flash available. Let's have the clearance, but I think he will get spotted out there. He's going to skulk his way back to bot lane to catch that wave.
Yeah, I mean, Taco in top lane is building up a pretty significant lead over the Kunai's Santa, and actually is about to lose bot tower as well.
Yeah, 40 CS is definitely nothing to laugh at. They have both had their mythics, so at this point in time, their power level is probably relatively even, but definitely once they start getting more bases off and more CS in their pockets, Taco might be having a lot of an easier time, and that is a little bit scary for Dewish team because so far they have been pretty dominant on every side of the map but top. So it looks like Taco will be their hope, at least for the meantime.
Yeah. Now this Herald, you know, continues to stay up. Dewish team, they might look towards it. The culling is still down for Tide. Now they are going to start it up. They have a lot of control. This blue's actually trying to be taken away by Taco. I'm not sure if he'll get it.
Well, might reset there actually, yep. Does reset a little bit. Taco still wants it though. Wants to get something in return of the deal, but it's not going too well for him. I guess that is a good way for him also to just build up the Mega in anticipation of a fight around the Herald, so it's kind of a win-win for him.
Oh, actually he gets to sleep.
Wow, yeah, sleeped by ICA, and he's just going to go down ASAP. Everyone jumping in on him, and he's all on his lonesome, tired, nowhere in sight, and Taco, he knows he's got to get that one over as well as the Rift Herald. Once again, Dewish team making these really good picks right before objectives.
Yeah, I think Zhao2 and WSL have started pretty much every fight this game. You know, consistently finding 1-for-0 picks, which is, you know, it's the best kind. You don't trade anything over and you just get stuff for free. We'll see how this happened. Looks like it was just a stray, you know, Lilia ball down the lane, and then, you know, even if, well, there's no sums on the Nami, but even if she had flash, I don't think it would have made a difference. You know, it's really nice, I think, when you have that long range, kind of like non-committal engage. You know, if it doesn't hit, it's fine, and if it does, you can get something off of it. You know, Hellpigs, on the other hand, do have to commit pretty heavily to any engage.
Well, dropping the culling once again, I feel like that's not worth it. That's not going to be up in time for the next dragon. You do slow down the bases a little bit, but I think it's too far before the dragon spawning for it to really matter all that much. It will give Hellpigs a little bit more control for now in the bot side river. You can see IC8 and Taco on the minimap there walking in and really flexing their muscles a little bit. But it is going to be all wards expended for IC8, and I assume these are going to get cleared out pretty quickly. Meanwhile, on the top side, Xiao2 and WSL forcing out a TB from Taco.
Yeah, I feel like Dewish team are in a much better spot for this dragon. They've got one of the TPs down. They know the culling is down as well. But have a look at how big Taco's gold lead is. I mean, it's 2,000 purely in the 1v1. So he's, you know, if you look at the gold lead, in the 4v4, it's going to be massively favored to Dewish team. But in the 5v5, it's actually relatively close. So I think Dewish team, they really want to try keep Taco's Gnar away from the fights. You know, keep him away. Even if Cassante can't really do anything to him in the side lane, just keeping him out of that fight. And a lot of tier 1s going down as well.
Yeah, this is pretty good for Dewish team. They get a lot more map control, and the Rift Herald getting popped in mid lane as well. Tide taking a little bit of damage. But this mid lane tower is most likely going to be picked up by Dewish team as well. So in the span of like 30 seconds, Dewish team taking down the whole outer ring of turrets from the side of Hellpigs. It's going to be really scary for them as they try to scale up in the next few minutes without the protection of those.
Yeah, I think Dewish team, they're actually looking for the engage.
Oh, Pepper goes straight in, pops nothing really. He's just autoing. He hasn't even popped the lightning crash yet, and he's already doing so much damage.
Big mark out.
Yeah, TP coming in. Taco not gonna hit that Mega Gnar. Xiaotu once again going in, but still DWC all ults available. Lightning crash. Oh, I think it was. It actually was popped by Pepro. Has gone on cooldown now, but overall still very good from the side of Dewish team. Lots of key ults from the side of Helpix getting popped. Hong2 gonna get looked on again. Gets kicked backwards. Does pop the flash this time and is able to get out. Oh, Xiaotu looking for that second Q as well. Very bold from him. But Taco in the top lane with 0 Mega Bar available. Dewish team have a lot of control over this Mountain Drake.
Yeah, I think this will be a going over to Dewish team Helpix. I'd be surprised if they wanted to still contest it.
Lily Ball finds 2. Sleep isn't quite popped. Xiaotu
Taco
doing
almost
some
has Mega.
Yeah, he's very close. Pepro rooted, but once again, nothing for the side of Helpix. Taco might look for the steal here, but I feel like it's not really worth it. It's only the 3rd drag in this game so far. He's going to get picked up by WSL. Now he's flashing over. He's looking for a big sleep, but only finds 1. They are going to slowly follow up on that. Taco finds a huge Mega now, finds 3. Inha dropped very low as well as Xiaotu, but now all out from Lakunai. He's finding a lot of damage, and Pepro flashing forward as well. Double kill for him. Hong2 and Taco both down. Taco in the jungle. Looks like he's going to be next, picked up by Lakunai. And a really well executed fight from Dewish team picks him up with the dragon, as well as a few kills.
Yeah, that was really really strange. I think there was a lot of inting and counter-inting going on there, but let's have a look at the damage. Actually, a huge amount of damage put up by both Tacos there. Yeah, the top jungle doing pretty well. I mean, but we see already, you know, the Lucian being pretty heavily outperformed. But let's take a look at this. So, I mean, it was interesting. WSL, I think he saw the angle, but it wasn't quite the angle. You know, he gets the one-man sleep. And it actually looks kind of good for Helpix here when Taco's Gnar managed to find this massive turnaround. But there's just no damage follow-up here. And I think the Dewish team's sustained damage, especially with the Zeri, is just a lot better and can just chase Helpix down now that they don't have anything left. And I think that really just spells disaster for Helpix. You kind of have to win these fights, right? Like if they get out all on low health bars, you fall further and further behind, and you never really get the opportunity to get this Lucian Nami going. And now, I mean, the score is 0-7, down 4,000 gold. It's not looking good.
Yeah, big swing for the side of Dewish team. We'll see if Taco going Mega here looks for something. This is still a little bit dicey for him. Isn't going to find too much. But jumping back to the last fight, I do want to point out that Lakunai actually sort of saves Dewish team because he uses his W, which makes him unstoppable, on the Mega Gnar ultimate, which lets him dash forwards and actually stun Gnar before he can get any more damage or CC off. So the fact that Dewish team survived on such low HP bars is definitely, a lot of it goes to him. He deserves a lot of credit for that. And of course, as you said, Dewish team now firmly 4k ahead. And yeah, Tide looking like he's pretty much already, you know, outscaled by the Zeri Lulu.
Yeah, Helpix, you're definitely kind of struggling for win conditions right now. You don't really have Dragon, you don't really have scaling. Perhaps you have Hong2, you know, ultra late game Victor doing something. But other than that, it feels like you have to make a pick onto a team that's quite difficult to pick. So I think DWT, you know, firmly in control, should be able to close this out as long as they don't make any major mistakes. Still obviously have to go through the steps.
Yeah, Dewish team committing a lot to this top side river control, but now Taco in the top lane. I'm just going to call him Taco 1. Taco 1 going to start bonking on the inner turret. He's actually doing a lot of damage with the Triforce and Black Cleaver completed, so now Lakunai forced to answer him here. I don't think he actually wins this 1v1. He's itemizing more for magic resist against the Maokai and the Victor, which means that Nara is definitely going to be packing more of a punch. But overall, kind of a lull period, and already the next dragon is 2 minutes away from spawning.
Yeah, and Taco's Gnar is kind of the one saving grace for Helpix here. You know, he's a light in the dark here. He's gonna have to do a lot in this next team fight for them to win. I think it becomes more difficult now because, you know, sums are coming up. People are starting to get tankier, but still maintains a pretty significant gold lead over his opponent. Will it actually be enough? I would be surprised, but they have pretty good Womber, right? If you can get a big, you know, Nara followed up by Maokai, Nami, and Victor, there is the potential to win a team fight that way. It's just you're really relying on Dewish team misexecuting.
Yeah, you really need all pieces to connect as well. But I see it once again going to get picked. Doesn't get slept, but Pepper might be able to pick this one up. No, gets stunned up, and Culling zones him away from now. And a lot of damage getting dropped on Pepper on the back end of that trade. I'm surprised WSL didn't go for the sleep there. I guess he felt a little bit cautious, not knowing where the rest of Hellpigs were. But Dewish team, they're actually going to take this opportunity to start up the Baron. TP coming in from Larkanai as well to tank that one up. And Hellpigs don't quite know yet. I don't see any pings, but the TP is coming out in response from Taco. Hellpigs slowly making their way in with the Maokai saplings to pave the way. But Baron's at 3k. They do a vision of it now. We'll see if who can... Oh my god! Taco actually picks it up. And now there's a full-on 5v5 breaking out Larkanai, dragging out Taco to the back end. But on the other side of the map, two members slept, Tide and Hong2. And now they're getting chased down by WCL and Larkanai. Pepper as well, doing a lot of damage on the back end of that. Taco doesn't have the Mega Knight available quite yet. WCL forces out the stopwatch. Tide trying to do as much as he can to try and get more damage out on the Dewish team. They are pretty low health bars, but he's going to get chased down by this all-out Cassante. Gets caught with the Lily Ball as well. Forces the flash, but he's not going to make it out of this one alive. Pepro on a killing spree. But still, not the worst situation for Hellpigs. They deny the Baron.
Yeah, I think Hellpigs actually played that pretty well. They got the Baron steal, and also Tide's Lucian managed to deal a lot of damage in that fight. I think for Dewish team, it was really saved by WSL finding a massive sleep as well as just tons of damage during the team fight. But, you know, Hellpigs, I think if they're not too far behind in gold, but they're very far behind where their champs should be at this point in the game. And I think if they, you know, were a bit further or just a bit closer, they would be in a decent spot. So without Maokai ult, it's very hard to actually get through here. But Taco, he just flashes into the pit, refuses to elaborate, steals it. And Hong2, you know, he doesn't get the best Victor ult, but I think, look at Tide. Like, even though he got slept, he managed to deal a ton of damage in this team fight. He kited out Zhao and did just so much work in this fight. And then it's kind of interesting, like, there's a split fight on the side, which I think is, you know, perhaps better for Dewish team. I think Hong2 really needs to be behind his tanks here, but just couldn't really find it. And ultimately, I think they actually got out here, right? With 3 Barons, I think?
2.
2 Barons?
2 Barons. Not a bad haul. Obviously still not very good considering that Dewish team were able to pick up that 3rd Mountain Drake for themselves. And wow, WSL doing so much damage on the Lilia.
Yeah, I think Hellpig's solo laners definitely outperformed that fight, as well as Tide's Lucian, but it was really just WSL put in kind of a 1v9 performance to secure that win.
Yeah, I do think it was key that Larkanai was able to find that 1v1 onto Taco on the side, because it looked a little bit weird from a spectator point of view, but you know, separating the strongest member of Hellpigs from the rest of the fight and making it a 4v4 for the rest of the team is definitely good for Dewish team. They just weren't quite able to capitalize on that as much as they wanted to. Actually, no, they picked up 3 kills. That's capitalizing. I guess just the Baron is the main thing, and it's the main thing that has kept Hellpigs sort of back in this game for now.
Yeah, it definitely delays the game. Whether or not it's actually a difference maker, it's hard to tell. You do get at least a little bit of gold, and you take it off the map, so certainly better than nothing, but unfortunately you haven't been able to take any towers with it, which does feel bad.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest things for Hellpigs to look at are Taco and Hong2's strength. Hong2 has just hit level 16, and he's pretty close to finishing his Void stuff as well, so that's going to be a big spike for him. I do wonder about Jungle Taco's build, going for the Night Harvester and Shadow Flame over stuff like the Leandries. I feel like you find so much more value from Leandries and like Demonic Embrace against stuff like the Lilia, the Lee Sin, the Cassante, who are all pretty tanky members. But Taco, wait, WSL is in so deep. Hellpigs have no idea. WSL is going to hide for his life, but actually going to find a pick onto Hong2. Going to drop to sleep as well. He is drowsy. No Mikhail's available. And if people are going to jump in with Lightning Crash, stunned up, dead. Hong2 off the map. And now Dewish team looking to try and see what they can clean up here. Xiao2 doesn't quite find the kick. Actually, no, finds a flash kick onto IC8. Doesn't get picked up by the 0W on the back end of that, but flash burn from IC8. Oh, ball just barely missing. Good attempt from them. But Dewish team now knocking on the doors of Hellpigs' base.
Yeah, and Hong2, he just got caught out of position. I mean, admittedly, it's kind of hard to know the WSL is just hiding in your Raptor camp there. But fortunately, they didn't lose too much. They do lose a mid inhib, but it's kind of irrelevant at this point in the game. I do think you're right that Maokai not having Leandry, Demonic, or a Void Staff here is very rough. You know, up against these 3 very tanky frontliners with, you know, a lot of magic resist. And I think that's kind of part of the problem of, you know, when you fall behind, you just kind of end up not being able to buy any actual items, which does suck. Now, both ADCs, again, putting in a lot of work.
Actually taking a bit of damage as well. But yeah, I mean, you can sort of already see the effects of letting that Zeri get ahead early though. You know, she's putting up better numbers than the Lucian. She's already got 3 items completed, the Infinity Edge, and also a stopwatch under her belt as well is going to be huge for this Dragon Soul fight coming up very shortly.
Yeah, she doesn't have any sums though, and there are a lot of flashes on the side of Hellpigs. It's possible for Hellpigs to win a fight here, and it would be very big. You know, if you can deny this 4th dragon, maybe finally knock down this mid tower, you can open up the map a lot. So they will probably look for the fight. I mean, you know, Dewish team, they're missing flash on both Pepero and Zhao. And Pepero especially, you know, it's hard to say vulnerable because he still has stopwatch and Lulu and everything, but he's more vulnerable than he would be if he had both sums, right? So there's potentially a window for this. Looks like Dewish team though, they should be able to get in the area and maybe take back this river. Alternatively, they might just give it up and try trade it for Baron. Because, you know, giving Hellpigs a second drag, it's pretty whatever at this point.
Yeah, Tide looking for what he can do in the mid lane. He is aware that Dewish team, they have a lot of options in the next minute for how they want to play this out. And Hellpigs, they really want to try and pull Dewish team towards one and not let them reach the other objective, which is what Tide is trying to do now, you know, trading in quite aggressively onto Xiaotu there. But Dewish team, they're going to start with the Baron, no hesitation at all. Taco is around in the mid lane, but I think they're just going to give it up. They don't seem intent on contesting this at all.
Yeah, I think Hellpigs committed way too many members to that side. Normally in this situation, the way you do is you send, you know, one member to solo it, whether it's the top laner, normally the top laner, or the jungler, and then the rest of you kind of contest the Baron. But giving that up, it feels kind of unnecessary, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you do take away the Mountain Soul, but at what cost, right? Like, sure, you're kind of still in the game, but giving Dewish team Baron just gives them that huge opportunity to try and close this one out.
Yeah, I think especially when the Soul's not really a win condition for you. You know, that's only your second drag.
Yeah.
They're still miles away. Now you have to try find something to stop DWT from just sieging down the game with this.
It's like they're trying too hard to prevent themselves from losing, but in the process, they're not making it any easier for themselves to actually come out on top in this game. And now Dewish team, with the mid inhib already down, they're looking at the top inhib as well. Meanwhile, Taco on Na has taken down that bot lane in the turret.
He's going for the reset now.
Oh, another kick found onto Hong 2. Out of position here to get Xiaotu. Going to get picked up by the killing from Tide. That's a huge pickup for the side of Hellpigs. Now DWT running away from the base with their tail between their legs.
Yeah, a bit of a just overextension from Zhao there. I mean, they already had the inhib, but just wanted to go for more, wanted to try to get the end. Actually, Taco.
Yeah, Taco might get looked on here. Pepper, oof. Not enough move speed to chase that one down. Taco is going to make it out. Might interrupt the space as well. But 5 members of Hellpigs now in the area. Hellpigs, they might try and look for this if any members of DWT are unlucky enough to stay around. Emote from
Emo.
Yeah,
backs out.
Gonna get out of there. Yeah, I mean, Dewish team pick up the inhib, but losing that tempo from Xiaotu going down is going to hurt for them. You know, they're not going to be able to pick up quite as much as they would have wanted with the Baron buff.
Yeah, it feels like Hellpigs are consistently finding ways to stall the game, but they're not really finding ways to actually get themselves back in the game. That being said, they're giving themselves more chances for DWT to make a critical mistake, you know, overextend. Tide's been playing the fights pretty well, considering that he never really got off his feet in the early game. So, yeah, it's feeling... I still think it's very favored to DWT, but Hellpigs, they have a chance here. They can do something.
Yeah, it does feel like it is very much DWT's game to lose, right? If Hellpigs win this game, I'm not to downplay the merits at all, but it'll likely be because DWT make a mistake. So it's really on them to try and play the rest of this game out as cleanly as possible and not give Hellpigs that chance to get back in it. They're trying to pressure the bot lane tier 2 tower now.
Yeah, they have a big wave. Baron is here for only 10 more seconds. I think this tier 2 will go down, but Hellpigs, they might look to engage straight after it. They have the Mega.
The tower is going to go down. The Taco's Mega is going to be popped as well. So if they're looking for a fight, it kind of has to be with this bar. Otherwise, Dewish team, they're going to start looking at the inhib.
And they have a lot of control over this jungle currently. Will anything actually happen? I feel like probably not, but with the dragon in another minute and 30, Dewish team can just play for that, pick up the soul. I mean, I think if you're Dewish team here, you're very comfortable playing this longer game. You know, you don't really feel rushed to get anything done, but actually might.
Well, Pepper pops a lightning crash, doesn't really find anyone though, so it's going to be a wasted ultimate from him. And now Halpix, it seems like they have yet again another window. Taco is just kind of patiently clearing out that topside wave. And this is actually not the worst for Halpix. They have enough wave clear to be able to deal with the non-Baron empowered minions. So Dewish team, they're really just looking at this next dragon.
Yep. 1 minute away, Dewish team, they have great control. And with all sums up on Pepper Zeri, it's a tall order for Halpix to find a win here. But if you do, it's probably going to be off the back of Taco's Nara finding a big engage. But there's just so much to get through here. Pepper Zeri now has the Guardian Angel. Tons of magic resist completed. Azonius as well on WSL. You really need the stars to align here. It's Halpix. Or maybe if Zhao overextends a bit and Tide can kite him out, potentially could re-engage off of it. But 20 seconds away, WSL is actually recalling. So gonna grab an item here. Halpix, they probably don't know that he's in base, so have to respect the fact that he could be here. It's gonna be hard for them to actually regain the control.
Yeah, big mountain here for Halpix to climb around this mountain drake, which is spawning right about now. You can see Xiaotu in the bottom right there has a bit of an angle. Angle is going to get spotted out. No, actually isn't spotted out by the sapling quite yet.
Yeah, he has a big flank here.
Yeah, if he can find an angle onto Hog2, he doesn't quite have his flash up just yet. It will be up in the next few seconds. Yep, never mind. It's up. Now Dewish team, they're giving up the mid lane prio in exchange for river control.
Yeah, look at the top wave though. Halpix are definitely on the timer. I'm surprised Dewish team go for this.
Yeah.
With the top wave pressuring so hard, but perhaps feel confident in the fight.
Oh, they're dropping it down really low. Already at 5k. We'll see if Taco can pull off yet another steal here. Culling it down. Huge damage onto N-Help. And that is going to be Dragon picked up for Taco. And they're going to try and turn tail and run as far away as they can. Taco forced the flash here. Lily ball hits onto the other Taco. Knocked back. Not quite anything yet. Xiaotu goes in. Sleep drop onto Hong2, but no one's going to fall off on that. Now Xiaotu drops very low. Pepro drops the lightning crash as well. Lakunai on his own. Going to get picked off by Taco and Tide. But now Pepro, we'll see what he can do here. We'll see if he can make any magic happen. Ooh. GA is popped. Hong2 pops the stopwatch in return. And he's all by himself. Bubble doesn't hit. Now Pepro has a chance to kite out here. Mikael's popped. Is going to get dropped down by Taco on the 9. Now WCL, the only remaining member for Dewish team. Whereas Halpix, they have everyone alive.
Yeah, Dewish team, I think massive throw. Halpix perhaps can even look to the end here. I'm not sure why you would look to start the Dragon so early when you can just wait a bit and someone will be forced to answer that wave. And I also think Zhao should have stayed on the flank, just ended up playing a front to back, which is not what you want. And I think, yeah honestly, just better executed from Halpix. And it's weird because Dewish team have kind of been playing out the game as if they're comfortable playing this long game. And then when push comes to shove, when you feel a bit of pressure, just instantly falling apart.
Oh, WCL, what are you doing? He gets stunned up by Taco. He's going to get a CC chained here, but probably going to make it out of here alive. Boulder drop, stun hits. Wow, Taco actually dealing out so much damage. Forces the sleep out from WCL. He's going to make it out of there. And now Xiaotu going to see what he can do on the return end of this. The kick doesn't quite go where he wants him to. Taco's just going to zoom on out of there, completely unscathed.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this. I feel like Zhao just kind of ends up not really being able to do anything. I think you really need to flank as Lee Sin at this point in the game. And then I think, Halpix, they did a really good job of kiting this out. And it feels like Enhao on low HP, Zhao failing to get the flank, as well as WSL kind of failing to get a good flash sleep just means that, Tide goes pretty much unmatched in this fight until the fight is pretty much almost over. And now Pepero admittedly does do a lot of DPS, but without anyone really in front of him, is kind of limited in his actual output, because he has to just spend so much of it kiting back. I think, just honestly better executed from the side of Halpix. Kind of crazy because I think that you would expect Dewish team to be the ones out scaling here. But actually it doesn't matter.
Yeah, now once again Halpix looking on the aggressive. Taco going to jump forward. Does have the GA available for himself now as well. As well as the Gargoyle Stone Plague. So this is a very tanky Nah, and definitely the forefront of Halpix's front line. And Talbot gonna go down. And now Halpix are in the gold lead themselves. They've somehow managed to turn around this game from the brink of disaster. And Dewish team, they really need to make sure they're executing on these fights properly. They've pretty much been out-leveled as well on most ends. Tide is at level 18, whereas Pepper only on level 16.
Yeah, I think this is where you're perhaps definitely starting to feel the difference of Lee Sin and Victor at this stage of the game. You know, Zhao has honestly had a very good game for most of it, but in these late game team fights, just cannot match Victor. Huge E. Yeah, the sleep will go down.
Sleep goes down. Marco dropped in response. Is going to zone away most of DWT. And now Larkanai dropped very low. He's down before it's even started. Tide is on a killing spree. Larkanai tries to go all out, but with no one able to follow up on that. He's so squishy. He goes down pretty much without a fight. Now Halpig's potentially looking for the end here. DWT, they don't have all that much wave clear available, at least not long range wave clear that they can use safely. So Halpig's going to start attacking these. Xiaotu has to look for an angle here. Does find Tide, but kicks him the wrong way. A bit of a WSL moment, and now Pepro looking to see what he can do. Trying to kite out. Hongtu dealing so much damage though. Pepro, he's going to go down. Hongtu just completely evaporates him from the map, and Halpigs, this might be the end for them.
Yeah, I think this is probably it. Don't see any way to really defend. And I think Dewish team, can they do anything at this point? With the Baron creep, I don't think they can.
WCL and now fighting for their lives. Mega Knight from Taco. He's been the star of this game for sure. Making sure the Halpigs are still in it. And despite looking like such a doomed game, Halpigs come out on top.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty massive throw from Dewish team. Especially the way it happened, because honestly, they were in control for so much of the game, were making lots of good plays, but then at just that crucial moment, you can just play slow, right? You can just wait for that wave. You can continue to team fight as you were. You don't need to, go for something different. And I think you're right, like Taco on the Gnar, really the star of that game, just allowed Halpigs to stay in the game long enough for Dewish team to actually make a mistake. I think even in those late game team fights, Tide was still getting out damaged by Pepero, but now, actually did have the opportunity to do some damage of his own. And yeah, I'm not even sure what to say. I think Dewish team,